Hey, how's it going, guys? One of my first impressions of Oddworld Soulstorm Enhanced Edition. This is a remake of a PlayStation 1 game, a game called Abe's Exodus. This is an Enhanced Edition, too. So it's a remake, and it's an Enhanced Edition, and it was also a platform exclusive, and now it's on Steam. You know what? We're going to get into the gameplay. I'll leave a little annotation right here or in the description, and you can just skip to that and see what I think. But we like to talk about the PC options menu on the show and a little bit about the game itself just before the gameplay. Anyway, graphics options. You have full screen windowed, exclusive full screen, and windowed mode, which is very nice. You have resolution options that don't really go too low. I mean, yeah, you got 1080p, 720p, 1440p, the usuals, and you could adjust your refresh rate to 143 or 144. That's kind of weird. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, not too much in terms of resolution options. VSync on or off, shadows, just a few options here, and then post-processing, full or none. No texture options, no anti-aliasing options, very bare bones, honestly. And for an enhanced edition, supposedly, that's not great. This game was originally released on the Epic Games Store, and then about a couple months after that, all the versions of the game got the enhanced edition for free, I believe, which was basically an apology because the original game had so many problems, so many bugs and issues, and now we're still on the Enhanced Edition, a chance for the game to be a little better, and it's just bare bones, once again, with the PC version. Not great. Gameplay options. Not a whole lot here. Audio options. Master Volume adjusts all its own options. It's not its own separate slider, which is weird, I guess. But whatever, you have music, sound effects, and speech volume options separate, which is always nice. Accessibility options. Would love to see some more colorblind options or something like that here. There's barely anything. And then you have controls, which are at least fully rebindable, and they work a little bit better than the previous game's remake, that being New and Tasty. New and Tasty had a weird PC port. Some prompts didn't show up. Gamepad wouldn't work immediately unless you selected it with a mouse. It was very odd, but you have fully rebindable keys right here, which is nice. Well, let's get right into a game, shall we? Right, welcome to Oddworld Soulstorm. This is a little bit early in the level I've picked. This is the funicular station or something like that. It's basically a set of abandoned mine shafts. And we're going to just walk around and have a little bit of fun here, right? So, I'm going to be showing you probably an earlier level as well to showcase the mechanics a little bit more because this level doesn't really do it justice. But essentially, you've got what's called a cinematic platformer, I guess. A subgenre that pretty much died after the PlayStation 1 era. Games inspired by, I guess, the original Prince of Persia from way, way back in the day. And, I guess, Flashpoint as well. So games that are all about a slower type of platformer, games that are focusing on immersion, storytelling, puzzle solving, and making everything go a little bit slower, and also tanking the performance slightly. This is weird, this wasn't doing this earlier, and now it is. It's kind of frustrating. Also, the game tanks performance in cutscenes as well, which is very annoying. You can't skip cutscenes either. I had to watch a little 20-second long intro for this one. Not great.
First night we escaped, we was dizzy, delusional, so hungry. Somehow I started chewing parables that grow in the dark mine shafts. But the parables, they made me feel better. I tried to tell them, but they wouldn't eat any. And they didn't live as long. Whatever the remedy, parables must surely be a part of it. Abe, you must solve the rest of it and craft the antidote to heal us before it's too late.
Right, so the premise of the game is to essentially save your people and just get out of here. You blew up the farm that you were working on. It was like a factory farm where they would process meat in the previous game because the Mudokons, your people, were going to be turned into food. And that's not very good, as you can imagine. So for this area in particular, you gotta craft antidotes to heal them, and then you can escort them to leave. And that's kind of the whole point. You want to save as many of these guys as possible. Right, so we're gonna find out where to craft the antidote. I actually know where to go, and it's actually quite simple. I've actually done some of this stuff already, and even saved a few of them, so I'll just be replaying this level a little bit. So the performance is a little bit all over the place. That's mainly because I'm running OBS right now, but I feel like for lower end systems, you might have problems depending on what you're looking at. Like, I wanted to say, like, oh yeah, it runs well mostly, but there are some areas that it just doesn't, and it doesn't justify itself because the graphical fidelity is a little bit all over the place. Now, in the cave, it's a little darker, so it's harder to see, but the texture work in this game in particular is not very good. It's quite low res. And that shouldn't really justify a game dipping in performance even on a 1070 Ti with a 5900X processor. I have no other problems with other games even streaming them at that resolution, and this is still giving me issues. It's just bizarre. Anyway, so like I said, this is a cinematic platform. You've got a little bit of stealth in this one in particular, a little bit of puzzle solving, problem solving. Now, the reason why they kind of died off after the PlayStation 1 era, I think, is because, like, some people just found them kind of niche and frustrating because of the controls. The last game in the series was a remake of the original, and it was a one-for-one remake, so that means they tried to take the controls from the original game. And I gotta tell you, man, I was not looking forward to checking out the sequel, because if the controls were anything like that game, I knew I was gonna be pissed off playing them. Which is unfortunate, too, because I can see the appeal of a game like this. You know, it's not Mario, it's not Super Meat Boy, it's not like some precision platform. Why does every game have to be like that? It could have a little bit of stealth, it could have a little bit of puzzle solving, but not strictly be a puzzle game, you know? It's an adventure game. It's got a little bit of storytelling to it, although the story in this game is particularly not good. It's kind of a weird balance between having some adult humor and then being for kids, except it deals with, like, graphic content like, you know, extreme violence, like people's heads exploding, and then also slavery. So it's a little weird. Like, you can't really show this to kids. It's not like one of those games where, like, oh, it's great for kids and adults. It's not exactly appropriate for kids, but the humor is. Everyone kind of talks kind of funny, as you could hear from, you know, a little earlier. It's a little different from the original game. Everyone just kind of farted, literally. They would just all stand around and fart sometimes. I'm not joking. Balancing, like, what they want to show and keeping the themes right for, you know, multiple audiences is, I don't know, it's just kind of confusing to me. The game doesn't really have a balance for what it wants to be, a game for adults or a game for kids, because it's certainly not a game for both. It's kind of weird. Let's get out of here. I'm just turning on these power stations so that we can progress. One of the mechanics that you're going to look out for is the escort, and I think we can actually showcase that in a second once we get the antidote. The game in general is pretty great to control. There's not that much going on that would indicate, like, oh, it's a frustrating mess. No, once you get used to the controls, it's pretty straightforward for what it is.
Or bosses that could help us.
I'd say there is a lot that was done with the Enhanced Edition that just made it play a lot better, although the performance is, you know, up in the air and some of these little glitches here and there are a little annoying. I really don't know why the game's dropping frames. It's in this particular area, too. Everything was fine up until this point. Now it's, like, making me second-guess everything, which is not great. Now, in the game, you can actually get a bunch of followers and actually tell them what to do or where to go. And you have, like, different modes for them, like aggro, passive mode. You can give them items, of course. But in my experience, a lot of these games, escort quest kind of games, they're always just a little bit more frustrating than they are enjoyable. The game has replayability in that you can... Oh, I screwed that up. The game has replayability in that you can, you know, go back to previous levels, save more Mudokons, and maybe, like, do, like, a kill-less run, I guess? That might be, like, an interesting challenge, for sure. Let's see if these guys are going to go back to sleep. Okay, they are. So, there's a sneak mechanic. You have to go into sneak mode before you drop down here, because if I drop down here, just normally, it'll wake them up. But if I sneak down, which is just the same thing, it's just dropping down, it makes the same amount of noise, too. You know, I'm fine if I just hold the left bumper button. You also have, like, a crawl mode, which is nice. And you have a roll mode as well. That's helpful. You have to be very deliberate with what your inputs are. The original game, you had to be super precise. Like, one little screw-up in a sequence, you had to restart a checkpoint. This game's a lot more forgiving. You have a higher health bar, potentially, so that you can take some gunfire and actually take a little bit of damage before you get absolutely mauled. There's secrets, of course, in like hidden areas, so there is that replay value there if you're a fan of the original games. And if you're not a fan, there is enough like uniqueness to this game to make it worth recommending. In fact, I will actually recommend it because it is quite fun. It is quite different from what I'm used to. There isn't really a game quite like it, other than the originals, which, as I've said before, I hate the controls in those, so I wouldn't even bother with that. Me personally. Okay, we're gonna sneak over here. We actually have to wake this guy up because we're gonna have to jump over here. There we go. Oh, he didn't wake up, I don't think, although I heard the music. Alright, here, let's go down. Alright, so unfortunately, I lost some of my save progress by doing more of that level, so I actually can't even show you the mechanic without going all the way back there. So what we're actually going to do is we're just going to play the blimp area. All you really need to know about the Mudakin controls is you just tell them to stay or go. There is a little bit of frustration in that you have to, like, tell each one individually to stay, but I'd say it's sort of worth having it in the game because the replay value mechanic of finding all of them and making sure you go through all the secret rooms is actually quite enticing. There's apparently one in this area on the bottom left right there, so maybe we can find them. Don't know, though. Looks like there's an area underneath my feet, though. So, I don't know. It's sort of hard to tell where in the terrain, like, there's a hidden area and it's just for show, because you can actually see through below where my feet are. Right, so maybe we can actually also show the texture work in this game. If we get kind of close, some of these walls actually look okay. You know, they look alright until you get a little close and, it's not that great. So from a distance, it looks okay, but up close, it doesn't look great. And it doesn't really show you that often because of the way the game's shifting camera perspectives work, but sometimes you will see it and you'll be like, ugh, it doesn't look that great. And it shouldn't at all. You know, the performance is, in some cases, inexcusable. Like, right here, it's fine, but in the cutscene drops and in that particular area, that sucks. That's annoying. Alright, let's avoid these snipers right here. So you'll die in one hit to those, but those guys with the guns, you can actually take a few hits. We're actually going to possess that guy. So we're actually going to make a little noise, which is going to attract him over, but that's okay, because we're going to do this. So now we have this guy under our control for as long as we'd like, actually, until he basically gets killed. There are some areas, obviously, where you can't really go. I think I actually triggered a bug over here. That's weird. I was over here one time, and my head exploded accidentally. You can actually trigger that by just holding the left trigger right there and doing that. But for some reason, he would just explode spontaneously, and I don't know why. Maybe it glitched over here with this little zappy guy in the sky right there. Those things, by the way, can actually stop you from using your soul ability, so if I actually wanted to... I'm going to throw the mine anyway, but see if I try to charge up, it doesn't work. But hey, we lured the guy over here. We're going to search that urn in a second. We have to pickpocket this guy and then tie him up, because those lasers are going to point at us, and we want to actually tie him up because all the mine did was stun him. So now he's not going to be a problem, which is good. Of course, you can get more points than, like more to the level progress by saving the Mudokins and either, I guess, not killing or maybe killing every enemy on the map. You have these checkpoints right here. Once again, we shift the perspective just a little bit. Now more up close. Yeah, you can see the grass textures. They don't look great. It looks fine, you know, at a glance, but the problem I'm having right now is the visual variety. It just kind of sucks. You're noticing, like, once we got into the mines, it was all dark and nice looking, but once we got outside, it kind of looked like the outside of the mine shafts, which is just brown, and more brown. Not great. The game is at least showing a lot of mechanical variety. You know, you have fires that you have to put out, you have snipers shooting at you, you have enemies you can possess, you have mortars, which we'll show you in a second here, you have climbing, you have the escort quest elements. You know, there's a lot going on with this game, and I can appreciate the variety, but I gotta say, for the first 2 hours, I was not feeling this one, honestly. Like, I was getting used to the controls just fine, but man, oh man, was it just not showing a lot. It was really until this level right here where the game was, like, starting to hold my attention a little bit more. And that's a bit of a problem for, like, a cinematic, slow-paced platformer. You really don't want your game to just not be holding your attention and potentially like, oh man, well, I played less than 2 hours, and you know, I just got the Steam refund. You know, maybe the game gets better 3 hours in, but then I won't be able to get a Steam refund if I if I don't end up liking it. Now, the game's gonna be $40, I believe. It might be getting a launch discount price for the Steam release, but on Epic it's like $40. So, you know, with the laser just disappeared because we shifted the perspective. Again, little annoying glitches like that. You'd think, like, okay, that's not a big deal, but, you know, it is marketed as a cinematic platform. You'd think, okay, the visuals would be better, the performance would be better, these glitches wouldn't be here, but they are. And in any other game, it's like, okay, that's no problem, whatever, but in this game, it's marketed, you know, as a showcase of that kind of stuff. I think you could actually step on your own mine here. Yeah, there you go. It doesn't stun you, though, it just kind of knocks you on your ass. There are mines that can actually kill you. Okay, let's get down here. Oh, shit. I didn't realize there's fall damage in this game. That kind of sucks. Okay. Let's possess this guy again. There we go. Blow him up. You can see it kind of get... Oh. I guess I spun him around too much and that happened. You can kind of see where it can get a little repetitive repeating some areas because you have to do the same sequence over and over again. I don't mind that because, you know, hey, I died. It was my own fault. But some areas, it's like... Yeah, okay, respawn. Now, you gotta get the chests. Alright, now open the chest. Alright, cool, but there's a lock chest. Go kill the enemy that has the key. And then it's like, that takes like another 10 seconds to unlock this chest because they decided, hey, we need to have 4 or 5 locked chests. Kind of dumb and annoying. But, you know, these are all minor grievances. In general, I don't think there's one thing that really bothers me about the game. I think... There's a couple just weird issues with the PC port and performance issues and like some glitches left over from the vanilla game. But in general, I think Soulstorm Enhanced Edition is a pretty good release. It's a pretty good product. And I can recommend it. Maybe not at $40, depending on who you are. But I do enjoy the game. And I do think that because it's unique, it offers enough for like any modern gamer or someone like myself who's like, okay, I've just played like everything, it feels like. I just want something kind of... Oh, God. Oh, God. I want something new and fresh, you know? I don't think we can use our... Can we use our thing over here? Oh, yeah, we're just barely off screen. Nice. There's some different enemy varieties in different scenarios. Like, there was one time where enemies with grenade launchers were spawning in, and I had to use them to defend the other Mudokons that were escaping. There was like 200 of them. But some would get stuck, actually. Like, some would get stuck off screen. I could see their searchlights. Like, they weren't moving in. It's like, hey, guys, you can easily slaughter all those unarmed civilians, basically. And they didn't feel like it, I guess. It's weird. But again, minor grievances. The game hasn't been frustrating or annoying. There's been a couple little issues here and there, but nothing too serious. These are the mortars, by the way. They're shelling me. Again, just when the game starts to get a little bit repetitive, they switch it up and add something new. I like the snipers. I like the mortars. I like these cool little things. I think the only thing the game really desperately needs is more visual variety. Maybe I'm going to see that more after the mine shaft. I don't know. Again, this is going to be a... This is primarily a first impression style video. But I can recommend it so far, and that's all you really need. And also, I just died on purpose. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm out.